Hi, how are you?
Good, good, good.
Okay.
Happy Friday.
It is. It is Happy Friday. I'm telling people Lashana Tova. Happy
Almost.
New Year. Yeah.
That's right. Almost.
we use. I tell everybody you use the new year, this new year, to look back on our new year that was 3 months ago, and I'm gonna be such a good person, and then let's. It's been 3 months. Let's check it out. How you doing?
Yes.
How you doing? Right. So that's it's a good use of the new year. You can always.
Yeah, it's like a do-over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need constant do-overs. Judaism is full of do-overs.
It's like New Year 2.0.
Yeah, and that's what we get to. That's what we get. So, and that's what this parsha is. It's a do-over. In this one, Jacob's going to die, and he makes his son swear Joseph, the viceroy of Egypt. He makes him swear, I don't, you got to bury me in the land of Israel. And he says, you got to bury me in the land of Israel. So Jacob says, okay, I will. I got the power. And he goes, swear to me. He goes, really, Dad? He goes, yeah, swear to me. So he gives him an oath. Okay, I swear to you. Why did he do that? Because it may turn out that Paro won't let Joseph go. He doesn't want him to go. So he doesn't want to leave the country. Maybe he won't come back. So in this way, Joseph is now bound by an oath, and Paro will let him go because he's also bound. Pharaoh is also bound to an oath to Joseph. Joseph has sworn that he'll never tell the Egyptians that the Pharaoh doesn't know Hebrew. The Pharaoh knows the 70 languages of the world, but he doesn't know Hebrew. So Pharaoh said, swear to me that you won't tell anybody that I don't know Hebrew, because now I won't be godlike. So he says, okay. Joseph says, I won't tell anybody. But so now, if Pharaoh doesn't let him leave, Joseph say, well, I swore to my father. He says, too bad, Pharaoh will say. So then Joseph will say, well, if you don't let me honor my oath to my father, I'm not going to honor my oath to you. And I'm going to tell everybody you don't know Hebrew, and you're going to look like you won't look so godlike. So that's why Jacob made Joseph swear, because now he's got him locked into an oath, and Joseph can now use that over Pharaoh, that I swore to my father. So he doesn't want to be buried in Egypt, because the land of Egypt is going to turn, the dust is going to turn into lice, and he doesn't want that. He also wants to be buried where in the cave of the patriarchs and the matriarchs. We didn't go on the trip. Did you go there? We didn't go there.
I think the night that I left, the night that I had to leave, we were was it Rachel's tomb? I forget.
Oh no, that was Maimonides. So
okay.
down in Hebron, there is the matriarchs and patriarchs. You have Adam and Eve, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Leah. Rachel's buried on the road by Bethlehem. And you also have the head of Esau, interesting enough. And so Jacob was saying, I'm going to be buried with Leah. You got to take me to the and I wrote about this in the Jewish Journal this week, if you ever read that thing.
Sometimes.
Okay, this week, my table for 5, but I'll tell you what it is anyways, because now you don't have to read it. I'll just tell it over. Jacob, he swears. Then next scene is he's dying, and Joseph brings him his 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and he gives them the blessing that we give our sons every Friday night. That's where the blessing originates, making Ephraim, the younger son, the first blessing over the older son, Manasseh, because Ephraim is greater than Manasseh, and Manasseh lets his younger brother get the first blessing and doesn't fight it. He doesn't. So that's what we want our sons to be. We want, if there is, fighting in your family with your children, it's the worst thing, because when you leave this world, as much as you can referee it in your lifetime, once you're gone from this world, they're going to kill each other. And so he sees that Ephraim and Manasseh will get along, and that is what we want our children to do. Now, Ephraim just had greater strengths than Manasseh. Manasseh was great too, but Ephraim was learning and sitting and learning. Manasseh was more out there. He was Joseph's interpreter with the Egyptians. So he was out there working. Ephraim was learning Torah with Joseph on a more regular basis. So, and the next scene is that Jacob gives all the blessings to all the sons, 12 sons, each get a blessing, and what it means, and their father is going to die at the end of giving the blessings. Great people, tzaddikim, righteous people know when they're going to die. They can feel they're so in touch with their soul, and death is when the soul leaves the body. So they know, they can feel their soul ebbing away. They can feel it beginning to get moving. Right. And he knew that was happening. So he called together his sons, and he said to them, he gave each one their blessing. It was a little harsh. Your father's going to give you a message for eternity. Here's who you are. Here's your strengths. Here's your weaknesses. This is how you get ahead, and this is what you better watch out for. He gave it at his deathbed because it's embarrassing. Number one, you don't keep looking at the person, for the next 10 years who gave you this, gave you a big patch. At the same time, he's dying, and it's like, you better listen up, because this is the last time Dad's ever going to say anything to you. You're all ears. So right. So they lined up around his bed, and they got the blessings, and then he said to them, he says, I'm going to be gathered to my people, which means there's a world to come. I'm going to be gathered to my people, I'm going to be gathered to my family, where I come from, which I guess means he's going to reunite with Rachel, with Rachel, his first wife, his primary wife, and he also says, bury me in the tomb of the matriarchs and the patriarchs. So what's he saying? He's saying he's saying to them that there's going to come a time when you guys are going to lose the vision of what it's about being Jewish. And we're going to always have a beacon of light, no matter where you are in the world, facing towards Israel. We got a burial tomb of the patriarchs and the matriarchs. It's called Hebron. It's in Hebron, the cave of Machpelah. And in this cave, that's where we are. Don't give away that land. We bought it. It's ours. And the Jews would go there and pray there. If they didn't have a temple, they would go there because it was the holiest people. The founders of Judaism were there at this place, and it was really a holy shrine. And because we say it's like a jet stream of spirituality. You put your prayer there, zoom. 1,000 miles a second. That prayer goes right up to God. Right. And so that's why people go to. when we were there, right after we were there, 40,000 Jews came to Hebron for a Shabbos. It's the Shabbos that's in the Parsha that marks the sale when Abraham actually bought the cave and the burial place. So 40,000 Jews come to Hebron. They spend Shabbos there. It looks like Woodstock, and they got to feed all these people, and they got to daven someplace. And this place is not set up. And there's 1,000 Jews living in Hebron, and it's people coming out and saying, "We're boots on the ground. This baby's ours." And
when was this 40,000 people?
It was the Torah portion was called Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah, and they did it this year on the 3rd of November.
So how did the Jews get in there?
They drove. No, they go down there before Shabbos, and they tent, they camp out. Some people, the people in Hebron, believe me, they open their homes. Number one.
No, my point is that there's no problem with the West Bank and all this.
Well,
no problem.
There's always a problem, but they're coming down in the caravans. They're coming down there.
Right.
The Arabs know, and the IDF is there. I mean, it's big time. You don't want something going down with 40,000 Jews in Hebron. The place is locked down. They probably
they open it up temporarily, is what I'm saying, right, for them, and then.
Well, the West Bank's always open. I mean, it's not the West Bank. The Judea and Samaria, it's always open. There's checkpoints. I mean, you know what I'm saying? People live there like people live in the suburbs. They live there.
I've been inside Ramallah, and I remember Ramallah is on lockdown.
Oh, okay. No. The place, I see what you're saying. The place that they go to is under Jewish control all the time. They don't go into Arab Hebron. That's a whole.
Oh, I see.
Hebron is like Berlin, East and West Berlin in the old days.
It's like a corridor or something. Okay.
Yeah. There's a way in, and they have an enclave. Exactly. And they're trying to expand it. But they expand it by by 5 or 10 families at a shot. I mean, that's. It's like block by block at this point.
Right.
And so they're pointing. So Jacob is pointing and saying, "Look, I got this land, man. Don't ever give it up. Don't ever give up the land of Israel. It's and I'm going to the next world. What you create in this world is what is going to be your afterworld. There is an afterworld. So he's pointing these two. Israel's ours, and there's an afterlife. And I'm a patriarch, and my life is all about Torah. So he's giving everybody the compass as he's leaving the world. And he handed everybody a map. Each one got their blessing and their curses. So everybody got a map, they got a compass, they got their purpose in life. And this is what we give our children. You think about, well, what can I leave my children? I'm thinking, what can I leave my great-great-grandchildren? They hear, there's this your great-great-grandfather. He's buried in this little cheap cemetery. That's all he could afford in the land of Israel. The guy's living in, I don't know, Buenos Aires with who knows who. He goes, I want to go see great-grandfather's grave. I wonder, that's kind of cool. And he goes there, and I got my tombstone that I've been thinking about for the last 30 years. What am I going to write on it? And he goes there, and he has, what's this thing say? I only speak Spanish. Guy translates it for me. He goes, holy cow! I got to think about my life. This is my great-great-grandfather I come from. That's what I want. That's what I want. And I'm going to suck everybody into Israel. That's why I'm going to be buried in Israel. Not for me, for my future generations, and send them a message. So that's what Jacob was doing. Then the brothers bury their father. They bury him in the land of Israel. They're allowed to leave. They had to leave their kids behind and their cattle. And then they do something very interesting. This is the lesson we'll leave you with. They go to Joseph. Now their father's buried. They come back to the land of Egypt. That's where they're all living now. And they say to him, you know, we are sorry. We're sorry we sold you into slavery. You know, please forgive us. And Joseph says, of course you're forgiven. God, that's what God intended. God intended that I be sold, right? And up until this point, you guys were fighting it, and you weren't, and you were evil because you felt that this was, you know, you were in the right. And now you're saying, we have sinned. We shouldn't have done that. And I'm saying to you, God wanted this to be part of our history. I needed to be sold, because that way I could become the viceroy. And that way I could prepare all you to come down to Egypt, because we need to be in Egypt. It's part of God's plan. And now you're sorry about it. You can't change the past, Mike, but you can change how you relate to the past. It's kind of like you grew up and you grew up in a deprived childhood, and you could either feel totally defeated and inadequate by that childhood, or you become a person of iron ambition. I read about a Holocaust survivor. He's worth $5 billion, and he started Westfield Malls, if you know what that is, here in L.A.
Sure.
All around,
sure.
right? He's a Holocaust survivor. He lived a life of complete deprivation. His father
was an Australian guy or something?
Yeah. His father was taken away. He never knew what happened to his father. His father was taken away one day, never saw him again. He finally found out what happened to his father. He bumped into someone who told him, yes, we know what happened to your father at Auschwitz, right? And he took that hurt and pain and he turned it into this ambitious guy, a little ruthless, but ambitious. Mm-hmm. And he built up this. That's what the brothers did. They said, "We're sorry," and Joseph says, "Good. Now, now we're accomplishing together the history of the Jewish people. We needed to go through this, and you're admitting it, and you admit you're wrong. Now you can't change the past, but you can change what the story of the past means, and that will change you today, and that will change your future." And that's how the book of the Genesis ends.
So let me just ask you in conclusion there. So the lesson learned is that you say you can change how you relate to the past, but so it's sort of it's a little bit of rewriting history how you
yes
see
it is but, in your mind.
But the fact is that what they did originally was wrong.
Yes.
It shouldn't have happened.
Right.
But there were benefits. So what Joseph is saying is there were benefits that came from it. But it sounds like what you're saying is it's more than that. Like it was actually supposed to happen.
It was Joseph was going to Egypt, and the brothers were the handmaiden of history. How they relate to what they did, they said, "Gee, he should have gone a different way, but he should have gone to the college, Harvard University of Cairo or whatever it was, Instead, he went as a slave and spent 12 years in jail. Okay,
so I guess what I'm saying is things like we're stating it as though this should have happened. It was right. But what we're actually saying is no, it's not right. It's just that some good things came out of it. But there could have been good outcomes had they never sold them into slavery as well.
The Jews,
right?
It was prophesied to Abraham the Jews had to go to Egypt. That was already in the cards.
Oh, I get it. So this was a way to make that prophecy come true, like it had to happen because of that.
Right, and the brothers had to realize also that Joseph was the king. They had to bow to him, and that was part of his dreams. And so this all came about to have all the brothers bow to him. He had to orchestrate a lot for people for all this to happen. It could have happened a completely different way. Our lives could happen a completely different way, but certain things in our lives have to happen. They can happen, the better way, or they can happen the worst way. In the end of the day, it's how we relate to it. Okay, I accept what God's doing. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to make the most of it. That's the road that we should be on. You can't. Hashem is sending us on a path. Embrace it. Don't run from it. And sometimes we have to say, I'm making mistakes here. I'm supposed to be where I am. And I got to let me take a look at my life and see what I'm doing right and wrong. The brothers finally did that. And then that's how the books of Genesis ends, with them doing this repentance, and now we're ready for the next stage of life, which is slavery. The Jewish people being completely, but we're going to go into slavery together. We're going to be united as a people together, and we're going to get out together, even though we're going to leave 80% behind. That's another thing. Okay, which we'll explain in future weeks. So I appreciate you being on the call, and I want to wish you a great Shabbos, and if you get some time off, make it work for you.
I intend to. I intend to take it a bit easier next week, and thanks for the great parasha today, and good Shabbos to you as well.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
Talk soon.
Okay,
Cheers.
take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.